The real world, a global community where like-minded individuals work toward achieving their personal goals. Every member receives advanced training and mentoring from our team of experienced industry specialists. Develop essential business skills with the help of our coaches through our online comprehensive education system. Join now. Real Prosperity Financial Freedom Formula. Discover how to become financially freed so you don't have to depend on your business, a job, the government, a partner, or anyone else for money. Scan code for the Financial Freedom Formula. 4BK Forbidden Knowledge Shop. Forbidden Knowledge Tours and Workshops. Embark on a journey of discovery with Forbidden Knowledge Tours and Workshops, where history, science, and spirituality merge to unlock the secrets of the universe. Our immersive experiences take you beyond the mainstream narrative, exploring ancient civilizations, consciousness expansion, biohacking, UFO phenomena, and the art of manifestation. Esoteric Store, featuring new esoteric and biohack items. It's a movement, a portal to ancient wisdom, higher vibrations, and deep truths. Awakening minds and expanding consciousness. Scan code to shop now. AI Genius Club. Revolutionary suite of 24 AI-powered apps is designed to automate, optimize, and elevate your success. Whether you're crafting visuals, creating engaging funnels, or generating personalized content, our platform empowers you to excel with ease and precision. Scan code to create magic. Event Raptor, the #1 solution for automating your sales. Attract, nurture, and convert with your ultimate coaching client attraction system. Everything you need to grow your audience, your authority and influence, your sales. Scan to start your automation.
Hey guys, Nicole here with another great episode of the Pain Point Podcast. And today I have another great guest, Mitch Carson. And he is here today coming live stream from somewhere in the universe. And Mitch is going to bring us some solutions, you guys. And so glad that you're here today. Check out the sponsors because they support the show and they help support great content and great people coming in. Welcome to the Pain Point Podcast, Mitch.
Thanks for having me, Nicole. Excited to be here, calling in from Las Vegas, Nevada, a place that you formerly lived.
Yep, that I did. I hung out there for a little while. It was my stomping ground. But tell our guest a little bit about you, who you are, and how you came to be.
I was a seminar promoter have been a seminar promoter for upwards of 25 years. Professional speaker by trade, traveled the globe, 63 countries under my belt. As a speaker, I'm a published author of 3 books and 18 books that never hit the market that I've used as premium giveaways for people to buy my systems, which that made them unique. So they can only get the books through purchasing my systems. That way I didn't fall into the commodity feature like others. I live in Las Vegas. I help people get on television because what I find with speakers, authors, coaches, consultants is they may be experts in their subject matter. They may be very good speakers in terms of the execution. They might know how to engage an audience. All that's great, but nobody knows who they are. And if they lack the credibility, the proper plumage in the color feathers in their plumage, like that of the peacock, nobody's going to buy their stuff because they don't have the credibility. So I take people from a Target box all the way to a Tiffany box, which is blue and white and screams exclusive, screams, wow, you really do care about me when you make that proposal to that special someone. One knee, crack that blue box, the eyes open wide, and there inside was that overpriced but glorious gem that's sparkling in the eyes of the recipient. So that's what I do with people. So they sparkle online and offline, in person or in summits, which is your expertise. Because if you have the credibility of being interviewed on network television, because I have my own show here on NBC in Las Vegas, where I'm able to interview experts for 30 minutes, showcasing their skill sets, showcasing who they are, why they matter, and how they can help people out in the universe we're out in TV land or in internet land, podcast land. What gives you distinction in the marketplace? You have to show it. What is it that makes you unique? What plumage do you have? Colorful plumage as the peacock, because we're in a peacock society. We make these loud, annoying sounds like the peacock. If you've ever heard a peacock, it'll make you cringe. They're so loud.
They're hilarious. I used to watch them on the base where my grandfather was stationed at in Oceanside. Yeah, they make some weird noises. They're beautiful birds,
Beautiful.
but they do make weird noises. But they want you to know they're there. And without
Yes.
that weird screech that they have, they're there. You might look at their plumage, but that's really for the female to come and say, "Hey,
I'm
what's
ready.
up?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm here. I'm ready.
I'm
Let's
fertile.
go.
Let's go.
It's that time."
Yeah, let's make eggs. Make some little birdies.
So you've got to make some noise and get out there, but that works as speakers too. And how do you get out there this day and age in a virtual space? You've got to make a little noise, but people are tired of that scream. We don't want that. We want to hear that great story.
The scream will startle you. Let's use that as the metaphor, Nicole. The scream is annoying and loud, but it'll make you look at their plumage. Oh, I'm interested or not. It is to attract the female, sure. But it's also to attract the audience of, okay, this guy came out, this woman came out, or a person, I better be politically correct, came out onto the stage, screamed, caught my attention. I'm now looking at their credentials, their feathers, their plumage. Am I interested? Am I drawn into his or her story? Am I now interested in engaging with this person, allowing them to rob my time or give me time so I can transact with them? That's pretty much the formula of scream, look at me, am I credible or not? And do you want to see more of my feathers and learn more about me wrapped into this compelling story?
That is true. That everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame, but they don't realize, not even in the long run, but in the short term, because living in Las Vegas, go to the casinos. Everybody, oh, look at me. Somebody take a picture. I'm going to go viral. I'm going to go viral. I need to watch. Everybody's watching through their phone. They miss the entire experience of what's going on nowadays because they've got so much video, nobody's watching it. Is it got the stayability? And I think those feathers, when you're looking at it that way, that has the stayability that's going to keep you. Those feathers will keep that there.
Yeah, I'm here in Las Vegas, and you can't go through a casino because at one point, the casino business, the gaming business, changed from having slot machines, which were noiseless, to noisy. They make sounds when you pull the lever. Now it's push buttons, but they make sounds when the money comes out, and that draws excitement, draws people in. And without the noise, it would be boring. So noise is necessary to capture the attention. The lights are necessary. It's all part of the Hollywood moment. How do you capture the audience?
Right. It's the formula. But what they forgot in the casinos is if you just consistently have noise and every light is going all at once, nobody wants to be there anymore. They don't have the stayability. That noise will draw you in. The lights and the fun will draw you in, but then people stop going because it's no fun. They're worn out just in the lights. It's so overwhelming. It's so much. You look at.
I met some people the other day who had never been to Vegas before. And I thought, okay, to me, I'm completely numb to casinos. I'm not phased. I walk right past the tables. I never feel an interest of wanting to put my money down and watch it disappear. That doesn't excite me. But when I first came here, growing up in LA and the big trip to Vegas, everybody's excited. It's nightclubs, it's gambling, it's liquor, all of these things combined into the experience. I was caught up in it. Like anyone else, they know how to play to human natures. How do you catch the attention? But after a while, I have zero interest in going to the Strip unless somebody's visiting, and then I'll take them there. But they do have new methods. They found that lights work, so that's the visual. Sound hits another sense. And then the unique story of, hey, Bob from Mississippi was just here, and Bob won $72,000 last week at bingo. So the results are there. So they hit all of the senses to draw you in and think, oh, I can do this too. It's marketing.
It's great marketing. However, it's old marketing. And what they forgot was that the stayability. So with all the bars that they put in there, every casino is the same, where they used to have a unique kind of like they'd have the Luxor with the pyramid, or they'd have the Bellagio with the gardens and the water. Each casino had something different. Now each casino is basically the same. So where
They've
they would
copied each
have
other.
so where they had everything's a Walmart now, right? Where they had the $1 million customer, now they have $1 million $1 customers. They're losing the longevity of the customer staying there. Now they're going to other places to gamble or to spend their money because they do not cater or provide the customer service. It is a formula that kind of works for a little while, but they are losing it because they become so corporate. They are losing their money. How do you have that sustainability? The Peacock is lost its feathers, so it doesn't. Las Vegas doesn't keep people there anymore for long periods of time. They would have people at the Cowboy Christmas who would spend thousands of dollars. Each family member, they drop about 10,000 a family member, and they're bringing 10 family members there because they want to stay there. They want to play there. That was their time of year to go shopping, go to the rodeo. They lost all that because they wanted the larger tickets. Same for musicians when they're selling their tickets to their music festival. Nobody wants to go pay $3,000 for one ticket. Are you going to take your family member, or are you going to, who else can you bring? You can't afford even one ticket. That's the thing. But where we do this, the longevity of the marketing, when we're talking summits and stages on that virtual presence, bringing it to a virtual presence, I think is a lot easier if you keep that sustainability.
Faster. Yeah, faster, easier, not geo-specific, less costly for sure. I think it's now a hybrid environment in many cases. Some people still miss the in-person interaction, but I found myself, I ran the very first Chat GPT live conference in the world here in Vegas 2 years ago. 2 years ago, February. It was the very first one in the world. We filled up the South Point Hotel with 300 people. It was the biggest conference room they had available. And I did it all in 4 days. That's how explosive it was. 4 days, I filled up 300 people. I had to turn 263 people away, and they had to consume it out in the hallway virtually through Zoom. I had no more room in the conference room. I could have charged any amount of money to fill it. And I look back and think, oh my gosh, how many tens of thousands, if not $100,000s of dollars did I leave on the table? I charged $200 for the general admission, and VIP was $595. And that included a dinner and a steak and a special session. And they got white tablecloth versus black tablecloth. Or was it reversed? No, they got black. The VIPs got black and the rest got white. And they got a dinner on one night. That's it. So it was crazy, the difference. And no problem filling it. Today, it'd be very difficult to fill a room on simply Chat GPT because AI has expanded. You talk about stayability, as you mentioned earlier. It's now a completely different world than it was 2 years ago. It's now where everybody's got an AI app. If you look at the Chrome extensions, there's a new Chrome extension every 30 minutes. It's crazy. It's saturated today.
It is. And I just had a summit. We're discussing earlier. I just had a tech summit a couple days ago, and everybody talked about AI, and several people talked about the large language models, Grok, Claude, and ChatGPT. But you've got so much now, you can have a different speaker talk about something different than someone else is talking about AI and cybersecurity. So it's not just one thing. You're so open to everything now. How does that help your business? And so and the tech summit started because I have entrepreneurs that I work with, especially in virtual summits and virtual reality, that need to understand that these tools are here and they're going to stay here. But we're not in fear porn anymore. It's time to move past that and say it's the how. Nobody was really in fear. Maybe some little robots take over the world. I was born in Silicon Valley. I get it, right? Terminator. Yeah, I've got that deep-seated back there. But really moving forward, we need to know the how. We need to understand, how do we get to Star Trek? How do we get to the holodeck? How do we get to spaceflight? You need to know that it's coming. You don't need to know how to take the engine apart. You just need to know how to drive the car, and that maybe it's out of gas and maybe once in a while you need to drive it to the mechanic. So it's bringing solutions, again, always bringing solutions to the pain points of if enough to be safe and make the proper decision as a manager, as an owner, as a leader. You can make the proper decision who to hire for these things. Because if you have a VA, and everybody's got a VA these days that they can barely communicate with, but the other thing is the part of the reason they can't communicate is they don't know what they need for their business. They don't know, they don't understand their business. They're just, I got to run a business and buy a VA. Not really. You can do some things yourself. However, do you even know how that CRM or the social media is working? Do you know how to unmute on Zoom? There's a few things you have to know to hire the person, or know enough to hire someone like me and say, hey, run my summit, put my stuff in the chat so I can talk and I don't have to worry about letting people in the room. For you on a larger scale, that's got to be a lot to put an event together and bring this to attention. It's a lot of work to get somebody on a stage, even if it's just Zoom.
It's a lot of work. The name of the game
Yeah.
is putting butts in seats.
Exactly. And for you to do this, there's so much going on in Vegas. How do you stand out and shine and say, hey, I'm going to give you something worthy? And of course, that means it's marketing, it's people you talk to, and it's also the people that you bring in on your team, whether they're working for you, working with you, or just collaborating. They'd be affiliating on a smaller level to say, hey, how do I get sponsors in here and everything? And people think, oh, hey, at this point, it's like the big no I get is, why would I pay? I don't pay. Okay, then don't get seen, don't get heard. You've got to pay to play. That's a pain point. That's what people don't talk about. You have to pay to get the knowledge. You have to pay. So there's a lot that goes on in this world. Even if you're just talking, use a Zoom platform. It's the easiest. It's the most universal. And you talk about universal and traveling. There's a few things you've got to know. So bringing that in there and saying, hey, this is why I talk to people that understand tech and AI and understand business. There's somebody that's an expert that you are that brings something to the table that I'll learn from, and hopefully my audience will, right? With all the solutions that you have. Really, it's this great conversation, and talking about Vegas, I think the live events are great. Let's not take away from that, because it's good to meet people in person and it's good to have virtual stages, but you want to have live guests sometime, or be live in and of itself with something like YouTube. With you, with this advent, how advantageous is it for you to bring the solution of being online and even having a podcast or something and talking to people, like you were so gracious to come onto my podcast? How has that changed your business over the years, and where do you see that going?
I'm a television host, so I come from a bit of traditional media. The podcast, I also have a podcast. And I think you have to roll with the times. You have to pivot or you perish. So it's necessary to change. We were talking before we began about the pandemic, and it was a little bit of a game changer for all of us. We all had to adapt, and the virtual world took hold. Because before that, virtual seminars were very small in terms of the marketing mix compared to where they are today. Today, they're here to stay because people got conditioned to consuming information that way. When I went to go, once the pandemic lifted, my first seminar I ran was in Kuala Lumpur, and I tried to get the same amount of money. I teach people how to write their books. It's one of my deliverable workshops. So I had a how to write your book in 48 hours with ChatGPT. I had a hard time filling that event for very little money, because before the pandemic, if I had run how to write your book in a weekend, I'd fill the room easily and I knew my metrics. And one of my friends who was a marketer in KL contacted me, and he said, Mitch, your price is too high. No one will pay it. The biggest seminar promoter in the world, Success Resources, based out of Singapore, but they're worldwide, couldn't fill events for free. People got so used to, because of the pandemic, attending virtual events for little to no money, that then to try to make people pay to go and do an in-person event where they'd have to get in their car and drive, take transportation and drive or go, was uncomfortable and unfamiliar to them because they had been groomed in a different way, spoiled, if you will, for the last 2 to 3 years, however you look at it based on where you were geographically. So in KL, I said, this sucks. I suffered. When I went to go do the same event in Singapore, which has a 3-to-1 conversion of money, making I do the same thing, make 3 times more money there for the same content. I then went and delivered a virtual selling opportunity, and my numbers were right back to where they were pre-2020. So I was able to fill my virtual training through a virtual Zoom webinar sale. And it was a $6,000 sell. And I was able to do it for a cold audience, but through the endorsement of the promoter.
That's awesome. That's an awesome difference. And we get used to it. We get complacent. Hey, you don't have to buy a full suit. You don't have to even put your pants on sometimes. Don't stand up when you're in Zoom, right? In the Zoom conference. You don't really have to, with all the filters, do you really have to put your hair and makeup on? And so that you don't have to drive, you don't have to eat, and you don't have to do all this stuff or find a babysitter or whatever, and you get complacent about it. But then yet, are you truly connecting to people? And I think we forgot how to trust people and connect with them. And that was a fallback. And it took a second to get people to pivot back to it. But again, for people, and I can't say this enough, and I think speaking especially for the people that I work and coach with, it's that, yes, this is online. Yes, there's a charge for this course. Yes, there's a charge for the VIP. There is work that goes into it. So whether
Big
you're
time.
hosting a summit physically or virtually, you have to edit video. You have to get sponsors. You still have to make phone calls. I have to make, and gosh darn it, I'm not driving somewhere, so I can't go meet a group of people. I have to get on a one-to-one phone call. There are some networkings. Those are give and take. Some are good, some are not, but there is a lot more time that is done on the phone. There's a lot more time one-to-ones. And in doing this, it takes time. Time is money. And so if you want to make money, you want to get on someone's stage, you're going to have to pay for it. But what I will say is paying a couple $100 to a few $1,000s to get on a virtual stage and get the marketing and the video, you're going to pay 2 to 3 times more to get in a in-person one, because you have to pay for the plane ticket, you have to pay for the meals, you have to pay for yada yada. So we have to look at that larger picture. What are you paying for? What are you not paying for? But this misnomer of everybody trying to get something for free. There's only so much free that you can do, because free doesn't pay the bills. And if we're truly manifesting and becoming the abundant being we're supposed to be, and everybody in the coaching world says consistently over and over again, it's such a cliche. When are we going to accept the abundance that is given to us? And where is the reciprocity of collaborating? Because if you're holding the events, I see a lot more events, and I don't know about you, but that brings me to my next question. I see a lot of events where, for a while, for the last few years, people are like, I'm only going to have you on my stage. First, you got to pay. And then secondly, you got to have 5,000 people on your email list. And third, you got to promote 600 million times, right? Yeah, I'm getting a little bit large with the numbers, but it seems that, hey, I've got to promote this event. And then fourth, I've got to get so many people to get a ticket, even though the ticket's free, which means that when you're not looking, event host, these people are creating other accounts just to show that they got tickets. So maybe they have 5,000 people in their lead gen plus 10,000, whatever. But are they actually working with those 10,000 people on their list? Are they 10,000 people that they're connected to? Are those 10,000 people actually got eyes on these newsletters? So what is the connection there, and what are we selling? So if you're paying for all this, that's a lot of work that you may have to do as a speaker. So if someone's hosting a free event and you're not promoting it, and then you wonder why nobody's picking up your lead magnet, perhaps it's not your lead magnet that failed. Perhaps it's not your speech that failed. Perhaps it's not the summit host that failed. Perhaps you didn't do the work, or the summit host didn't do the work. And I think it's a joint collaboration. You can pay to play. And if you pay to play, then that leaves the summit host to do some more marketing and getting more people in. We had in about, I want to say, I put the Tech Summit out about 4 weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks at the most. I started, it became a twinkle in my eye, and it was just working with Event Raptor and seeing how the summit system worked that I came into it. We ended up with close to 150 people that signed up for the event. Of course, not everybody attended, but there's quite a few people that will be that got the VIP. But that takes work. With you, what do you expect when you are having an event? And if you have other speakers or other people with you, what is your expectation from those people coming to your event? What do you expect from your speakers, and what would you say in your expertise?
I expect speakers to show up on time, but here's how I've quelled that issue. I pre-record them just in the event that they're not, if they don't show up or there are tech issues, and I expect them to show up, mail their list, use all the swipe files that we provide, and deliver value, have lead magnets that are going to be there, a product that's available for sale that we can both monetize.
Okay, so you're expecting a collaboration in the promotion.
100%. Why would I put them on my platform for free? I'm there to make money. I'm a business. I've produced over 2,000 events in my life. It's a business. This is not a hobby. I'm not doing this for glorifying them. I'm doing this to make money for both of us. It's the only reason I produce the
I
business.
love how you get straightforward with that, and that's a great solution, is to say that. And I think speaking this, kind of talking about the elephant in the room, when we're talking about getting on a stage, what is expected from speakers?
Yeah, they got to
Right.
make me money.
Absolutely.
And I've got to provide a platform for them to make money, and they have to be vetted properly. And that's why I do what I do about making their speaking process profitable. Because if they're not pros and show up, if they don't have eye contact with the audience when we're talking, and if they're not engaged with the audience, I'll never book them again.
Ooh, I like that. I like the engagement. So
Must.
yeah.
Like, you're looking at me now, but if you look away, you're not engaged. I'm going to be annoyed. And it's
Right.
it's disrespectful. So you want to look into the camera when we're talking and be engaged with the audience. You're talking to this person as a miserable person. Because if you're fiddling with your phone and doing this or looking elsewhere, you're not engaged with my audience. And you're never going to be hired again.
100%. 100%.
I've been
And
doing
that's
this
what,
too long. I'm one of the long-term people. I'm an OG in the industry. So I know what works with human nature, whether it's personal or virtual.
What would you say has been the best solutions in the conversion for speakers coming in here when you're working with them? What are you finding with your speakers when you're consulting or coaching, they're coming to the stage? Is there something different that you have to tell them, hey, besides that, besides engagement, obviously that's like a number one most important. We want the audience to be enamored and engaged so they come back. What would be a second thing for you to say that they had to learn in the virtual space because they're not getting that quick response right away, like a clap or a breath or anything like that?
All right. What would be the second most important element? Okay. Number one, are you very clearly understood? Are you right to the point? Because if I'm confused, but based on the question, so is the audience. And I've been doing this 41 years. So if you're not clear with your message, if you are bullet after bullet on your slides, doing a slide deck, you have lost the entire audience. You must be engaged, looking at me, looking at the audience so people can connect with you. Because if you look distracted, they're distracted. And I call it the cell phone test. Because if you're looking at your cell phone when there's a large audience, and I'm talking about in person, it can be the same, because if your eyes aren't on the camera and you're looking down, you're not engaged. It's the same, it holds true. It's no different. The psychology is the same. I've been doing this too long to know any difference. And if you aren't looking at the camera when people are talking, or when you are talking, and if they're distracted or if they turn the video off, turn their sound off, you are not engaged. You are not engaging them. And it's the cell phone test I refer to when I conduct my speaking mastery programs, which is how to deliver online and how to deliver offline, or started offline. But if somebody pulls out their cell phone during your presentation, you're boring. You have just lost them, and you must take control of your audience, because if they're not engaged, looking at you, taking copious notes, get off the damn stage, get out and walk the audience and bump them. I was speaking at a Philippines conference right before the pandemic in 2019, 200 Filipinos in the room, 40 professional speakers were there engaging with the audience on the stage only. I was the only one. I was the 40th speaker. I asked to be last. I asked to be last by design. I had more experience than all the other speakers combined, but I asked to be last by design. To get off the stage, and there was a little guy smiling, and he was doing this, texting Tina. I came up, grabbed his phone out of his hand, turned it upside down, and I bumped him right on the spot. And I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm here to deliver value. And don't you know I'm here to deliver a way for you to make 7 figures as a professional speaker. Pay attention, or go sit out in the hallway." Guess what everybody else did with their phones of 200 people? They all
They put
turned
it
them
down.
upside down. They all turned. They were afraid of this 230-pound American with a booming voice that took control of the room. I do not tolerate disrespect. I do not tolerate anything other than perfect engagement. And I set the tone. Who do you think had the highest reviews out of the 40 speakers?
I bet you did. Absolutely.
Because I took control. Your job is there because people are looking for sustenance with information. They've got their umbilical cord out, and they're looking to plug into mommy again. They've left that warm environment, and now, okay, I need more sustenance. As adults, they're looking for it, and their cell phones that's the temporary sustenance that most people, you see it happening today. It used to be, oh, my important, I got a beeper. I grew up in the speaking business when beepers were around. And then it evolved into a black crackberry where they got addicted to that. Then the cell phone came around, the iPhone, and all the rest is history. But this is their sustenance. They're missing something. Judy, the TikTok shaker, who's got the great body and everything's all right. They get addicted to that sustenance.
They
and
do. They
how
do.
do you break them away from that? You've got to be compelling and engaging, and you command it and demand it.
And you got to call it out. I love
Yes.
that. I really
Take control.
I think it's the same way spiritually with all the coaches. You're taking control. You're commanding that into your life, and so there's a lot that can be converted just in a different way from. I like the command in the room, and I do miss that. And going back to the casinos, people were not allowed to have cell phones in the casino, especially in the sports book. When I worked at the Wynn, you were not allowed to have a phone. We could confiscate it from you. We could physically take the phone away from you. Physically take the phone away from
Not
you.
anymore, though.
You could not have it there. No, they started to allow it, and to their detriment, because people walk through the casino and take pictures of everything. Nobody's paying money. Nobody's staying. Nobody's looking at anything. And like we were talking before about all the lights that go on, it's overwhelming. I think that's obviously your uniqueness and your greatness and your experience that you bring into the command. You command that attention, and casinos
I demand
used to
it.
command attention. Yeah,
I commanded
exactly.
demand.
You demand it. Yes, absolutely, 100%. And the comparison of the command and demand.
You have to provide incentives. It's a little bit different, much harder to command and demand that. There, you have a rule where you have to show your face or we're going to remove you. I get very bold about this because, for example, let me give you a reason why first, and then I'll answer part of the question. In the event of 300 people, I sold very well. I sold about 30% of the crowd into our various programs in the physical event of people in Las Vegas here 2 years ago. So I'm effective from the stage in a live environment where I can go out and walk the audience, shake hands, touch people. The virtual side, I sold one, and it was after the event, and I had to work hard to get an $8,000 payment out of one person. One person bought out of 263. Now, why was that? There's always a better result, and I'm making a sweeping generalization, and I've yet to see it challenged, and then I could be wrong in certain cases, but from my experience doing this, you will have a better result with in-person conversions and a sales per head, sales per buying unit. And a buying unit is comprised of, let's say, if a couple or two people from the same company, that's one buying unit. You can't look at individuals. Out of a buying unit conversion, you will do better with people live that you've gone up to and shaken hands with and looked them in the eye. So I, from that, learned a valuable lesson. If someone is not engaged, if they're not looking at me if I'm looking at a large room of people on Zoom, if I'm delivering, and if they're looking down, I'm going to say, other than taking notes, I need you to look forward and know that I'm engaged, because the people that look forward are going to get a special gift. And we're noticing the people that are looking at us and feel engaged and understand this. You've got to motivate them. It's very different. I don't allow cell phones during my conferences. If I catch their cell phones, I say, look, guy, I need you to pay attention. And if you're not interested in what I have to share, I'll refund your money. I do it early on. I set the crowd up. I will refund your money. No, I'm gulping because they might have just spent $600 to be there. They're going to turn their phones off.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose the money, but if you have to text during my seminar or during my session, I'm going to ask you to leave. You can go outside and go do that, but you're not going to do it while I'm speaking. I take control. There's a great risk of that. I'm going to piss off people because they're used to this addiction. They're used to it. I've just taken their candy away, but I don't care. I'm Big Daddy. I'm walking the audience. I'm in charge. These are my rules. You're in my sandbox. You paid to be in my sandbox. That's how severe I am in a live environment. I don't permit cell phones. I don't confiscate them at the door, but I tell them right up front, I say, here's a couple housekeeping rules. The bathrooms are down over here. If you need to take a break, we're going to do it. And this is how long it's going to go. I set the context and the rules up. You have to take control. And if you feel compelled to have to text Tina or Tom during the seminar, please either sit in the back row and leave. But if you're in the front, I have to see that. It's very disrespectful and distracting to me and to your neighbors if you're sitting doing this during that time.
Definitely.
So it's disrespectful. For the online community, which is what I think you're asking for the virtual, you have to adapt that. What's the way to adapt it? If you're looking at me, you're going to be entitled because we're looking at all the people who are engaged. And the ones that put the ones in the boxes, that's a technique. People say, put a one in the box right now, or a hell yeah, raise your hand up. They're all sorts of different techniques you can use for the virtual environment. But if you blacken your screen or remove the video, you've just been disqualified. I know if you allow that behavior, your results will suffer. I'm 100% firm on that reality. If you have people that you allow to blacken their screen, or if they're driving, you're not going to sell them. The likelihood is you're not going to sell them. They're not engaged. How do you sell people that are mummies? They're in a coffin. Yeah, how do you sell a mummy.com? I don't think you can.
You can't, but yeah, from a selling perspective, that makes a lot more sense.
Is there anything, Nicole, other than selling? This is a business. It's a business. If you think it's just fun and we're going to provide free information, it's a hobby. My partner loves it that I'm doing this summit. For me, okay, I'm going to look at your bank account and it doesn't match mine. I'm in the business of event production. I'm in the business of a speaker making money. How many buying units do you have in the room? How much money can I make? Oh, we should have a good turnout. Isn't a number. How many do you have that are confirmed? How many paid? Who are the other speakers? I'm prepared. That's how I prepare my speakers. They must have the same mindset or I'm going to kick them off the platform. This is about making money. This isn't about glorifying you. Will that be a takeaway? Absolutely. I put money in making sure I have X number of attendees that have paid to come. Yes. But to show just because then you can brag about it to your kids and coworkers, because I spoke on such and we create the poster, all the vanity graphics that are wonderful. It's good vanity. Oh, I was on the platform with Jimmy Jones or whomever, or Tony Robbins. I don't care. Did you make me money? Did
Yes.
you make me money? It's all about the money. This is a business. And I come from a cold, hard, because my background, I was a pitchman on Home Shopping Network in the 90s, and it was all about what you sell per second.
Wow.
Per second. That's the Super
my
Bowl of
gosh.
selling. It's a business. This isn't about glorification of somebody that's been on TV doing this. How much money are you making me by the second? It's not your makeup was smudged. Did I look good? Did grandma like the way I glistened on TV or on the virtual seminar, which is today's television in many cases? No. How much money did you make me? If you come in with that mindset as a potential speaker, here's the value I bring to you, Nicole, for your next virtual summit. I made such and such that money versus someone that comes in, hey, am I going to get a recording that I can share with people? How much money you're going to make the promoter? If that isn't your mindset, go back to Toastmasters. That's how you get over the ums and the ahs and right when people say that, it annoys the piss out of me. No, it's not right. It's left. Stay on task. Speak correctly. Be a professional. How much money are you going to make the promoter? If you don't have that mindset, you're not a professional and you won't get invited back. That's the big leagues. The big leagues.
And thank you for saying that and for sharing that advice, because I see many summits where people are coming back to the same summits and they're paying for these summits, but they're not getting any takeaway. They're not getting sales. People are saying, don't sell from the stage. How are you going to make money? The only person making money is the person that's hosting the event. When we talk about this, because it is business and you're getting straight to the heart of what this is about, which it is. It's a business. We have to make money. You have to buy things. You have to be able to have money to donate or tithe.
They paid to be on the summit?
Absolutely. For other people's summits.
Oh,
They
interesting.
will pay. So what happens is, let's say Tim has a summit and Tim charges $350. You have to have a list of 5,000 people that you'll promote to. You have to sell 20 tickets to that event, but you cannot sell any of your products or your services from that stage unless you pay another $300. And if you stay within the $300 base fee and you promote and you even get tickets, your return, you're not making your return on that $300 because, first of all, you're not selling. And secondly, you're not getting everybody to get into your lead magnet because there's not enough people attending and getting your giveaway. There's not enough of the audience. There's more speakers than there is audience in that case.
Okay. Now that's a great point, Nicole, because they're paying to play.
Yes.
Speaker Judy has paid to play on Tim's summit.
Yes.
And that's to help offset the administration of setting this up, the Facebook ads that run in, and the piggybacking of or hijacking of other speakers' lists that they're required to bring in. I've been in those environments also. And if you can't sell, then you have to rely on your lead magnet to get them to come to that's the pitch. If you have a great lead magnet that will provide to all the attendees, and then from there, you get to keep it. That is a interesting scenario. And I love that question because there are a couple ways of looking at it. Speaker A, let's say Andrew, pays to be on speaker B, Bob's seminar or virtual summit. Bob gets to grow his list because he's now got all the new registrants from speaker A's 5,000 people, as you mentioned. And then he's got all the other I don't know, however, 10 speakers that are on this 2-day, 3-day summit who are providing their lists. He grows his list to his benefit to then use it for future summits and to sell his stuff. Speaker A suffers because he just invested $300 of his money to attend this. He's also given away his most precious asset, his list.
Yes, absolutely.
His list. There's nothing more precious than his list of running through the funnel. And he's got 20 new names of people that have been exposed to this, but some may sign up later to products and services of Seminar Promoter B.
Correct. Absolutely.
And what does A benefit out of it? Here's a way to look at it: negatively or through a positive lens of, okay, I've got some experience. Every speaker, in my opinion, at some point needs to make the jump from being an Indian to the chief. And I was a traveling speaker as a parasitic speaker for 25 years, about 20 years, until I became a chief and started running my own events. Meaning I'm a platform pitchman. I'm not a keynote speaker. They don't make any money compared to what the amount of money I make as a pitchman. So I would sell my products or other people's products to come in and sell, go from event to event, selling whatever product it could be, and going from event to event. I had no list. I was strictly a gun for hire. And then I realized, you know what? I can do this better than some of these seminar promoters. I failed all the way to success. So I became an in-person. You got to fail a lot. You got to bloody your nose before you learn how to duck the punch. And I learned through trial and error. Mistakes are abundant. The most successful people have made the most amount of mistakes. If they admit it, nobody swings the bat and hits a home run every time. That's an absolute lie. And they're a direct descendant of Pinocchio if they say so. But the scenario needs to be, use this as building your resume of the screenshot of you being on the stage with famous speakers, because the formula, Nicole, is if you run a summit with 10 unknown speakers, you're setting yourself up for failure. I just ran a summit in Singapore for new authors that I've trained. I help them ideate, write, and market their books. All are best-selling authors today, 17 of them. I put them on a virtual summit. You would not have heard about it because it was only, I bought traffic and everything in Asia. I then brought in 2 major league speakers to be the drawing cards, because without them, these unknown speakers would have no traction and they'd have nothing to brag about to their friends and family. So I invited a man named Ken Honda to speak, who is the biggest author out of Japan. He's sold 9 million copies of his books in the Japanese language. And then I also invited a man named Chinky Tan, who's a TV show host in Manila, who speaks all throughout the Philippines 5 days a week and has 2 million people, or almost 2, or is it 3 million subscribers on his YouTube channel, all through organic growth. And he's got a TV show that broadcasts every Sunday. He's the real deal, and he's authored 16 books. So I had those 2 incredible people as the drawing cards. Then all these brand new speakers, first-time authors, were able to talk about their books. I've got different books in different categories from these speakers. These are all first-time authors of my clients who are Singaporean. They got to brag that they were on the stage with Chinky Tan and Ken Honda, because in Asia, they are big deals. You've never heard of them because we're in America. But over in Asia, they're far bigger than most of the people, these assholes here, who are bragging about themselves.
And they do brag.
Yeah, of course. Americans boast. These people sit quietly and just look at their numbers. So in Asia, I'm quite well known because I've marketed myself there. In America, I'm the most famous person you've never heard of. But over in Asia, I've done hundreds and hundreds of events and been around. And there's a entirely different model over there. Have they heard of the big name people like Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins? Sure. Gary Vee. Those are global brands today of speakers and or people. But to get somebody like that on your virtual summit will be an act of God or a direct connection. It would be very difficult to get an A-lister to attend your summit, but there are plenty of Bs that have enough drawing card, might be New York Times best-selling authors and are known. That's how you derive value, or you go to the end, Nicole, and put your own events on.
That's it.
That's the ascension
That's
model.
the magic. I like that. I
Yeah.
like where I like where you're going with that, because it really makes sense. And you start looking at your numbers, and sometimes it's like you look at numbers and there's a lot of numbers here.
They're required to go through my speaker training, speaking mastery, before I put them on the summit. So there's a sequence. They must be prepared, because to put somebody on the stage, either virtual or in person, if they're not trained, they're going to fail. Full stop. It has nothing to do with their fear. They just don't know the mechanics of what it takes to compel and command an audience. So that's step one. The other, they must have media behind them. I get them all on television. They must be prepared, media trained to speak concisely in sound bites on point for an interviewer to interview them. And because television is 4 minutes, 2.5 to 4 minutes, depending on the network. You've got to be on point. Verbal vomit doesn't work. Be on point, speak directly, and keep speaking in open loops so it allows the interviewer to ask a follow-up question. Because vomit will make people throw up themselves and puke and run away.
Nobody likes it. And that's that know-how, and you give everything when you're giving this to the speaker, to the author, because nobody knows about this wonderful author unless they talk about it. They're branding themselves. Right? You are always branding, which means should always be selling. What I didn't realize was that when you're showing up, when you're looking in the camera, when you're talking to people, when you're getting on stages, podcasts, virtual summits, or live stages, or going to events and networking and talking to people. And I absolutely appreciate your time and your information, and you're sharing the experiences that you've had, and your expertise it's been phenomenal talking to someone like you. Thank you so much, Mitch. Any last words for the audience?
No, if anybody is interested in getting on TV, here's my no-nonsense, shameless pitch. If you want to go through and get real exposure on network television here in Las Vegas, I guarantee it. GetInterviewedGuaranteed.com/meet with Mitch. www.GetInterviewedGuaranteed.com/meet with Mitch.
The real world, a global community where like-minded individuals work toward achieving their personal goals. Every member receives advanced training and mentoring from our team of experienced industry specialists. Develop essential business skills with the help of our coaches through our online comprehensive education system. Join now. Real Prosperity Financial Freedom Formula. Discover how to become financially freed so you don't have to depend on your business, a job, the government, a partner, or anyone else for money. Scan code for the Financial Freedom Formula. 4BK Forbidden Knowledge Shop. Forbidden Knowledge Tours and Workshops. Embark on a journey of discovery with Forbidden Knowledge Tours and Workshops, where history, science, and spirituality merge to unlock the secrets of the universe. Our immersive experiences take you beyond the mainstream narrative, exploring ancient civilizations, consciousness expansion, biohacking, UFO phenomena, and the art of manifestation. Esoteric Store, featuring new esoteric and biohack items. It's a movement, a portal to ancient wisdom, higher vibrations, and deep truths. Awakening minds and expanding consciousness. Scan code to shop now. AI Genius Club. Revolutionary suite of 24 AI-powered apps is designed to automate, optimize, and elevate your success. Whether you're crafting visuals, creating engaging funnels, or generating personalized content, our platform empowers you to excel with ease and precision. Scan code to create magic. Event Raptor, the #1 solution for automating your sales. Attract, nurture, and convert with your ultimate coaching client attraction system. Everything you need to grow your audience, your authority and influence, your sales. Scan to start your automation.